You want to know how fast your life can turn upside down? Try watching your family's legacy get driven off your own land by someone who spent months treating you like you're just an obstacle to her latest power trip. That was me, Jackson Thornfield, but everyone just calls me Jack, the third generation, to work 12 stubborn acres right in the center of Willowbrook Estates, that pocket of perfectly manicured lawns and overpriced houses. Developers plopped around our farm 15 years ago. They figured we'd sell out. We never did. And if you're wondering, no, this story doesn't kick off with the sound of an engine. It starts the moment someone crosses a line they shouldn't. And let me tell you, there's no mistaking when that happens. I was 16 when my dad lost 3 acres to a handshake and a stack of paperwork that was a whole lot friendlier to the lawyers than to our family. He held those papers in trembling hands and said, "Never let anybody take what's yours without a fight, and always, always have evidence ready." I guess that moment carved itself into me deeper than any plow ever did. So when Karen Blackwood showed up 3 months back, clipboard cream blazer hair done like she's headed for a country club, the whole 9 yards, I didn't just smile and nod. I listened, sure. But I started preparing. She came talking noise complaints and community standards, asking me to change my working hours like I'm running a lemonade stand, not a real farm. I explained politely at first that my land isn't part of the HOA, that the rules don't apply, and that I start work at 7 a.m., just like county ordinances say I can. She gave me that politician's smile, the one that never makes it to the eyes, and told me she was sure we could work something out. Right. Work something out turned into, "I want you out pretty quick." Over the next few months, Karen came by more and more, her requests turning into demands, her demands turning into threats. Limit tractor use to impossible hours. Build sound barriers that'd eat up my whole budget. Or maybe she said with that tight-lipped smile, "I'd be happier selling to someone who cares about community harmony." Every time I told her no, her voice got sharper. Every time I added another layer of protection, because if you grow up watching your family lose land, you learn quick that hope isn't a strategy. What Karen didn't know was that I was getting good at modern farming protection. I'm talking IoT sensors on everything, GPS trackers, biometric locks, mics, pressure plates, every tool to catch someone in the act. I started recording every word, logging every threat with time and place, because where I come from, you don't fight with your fists, you fight with evidence. Through a friend, I found Maya Chen, a legal blogger turned rural property advocate, with a network of farmers trading info on land grabbers like Karen. My system wasn't just about saving a tractor, it was a legal trap one Karen wouldn't see coming until it snapped shut. Maya helped me connect with law enforcement, and it turned out Sheriff Martinez already had his eye on Karen for similar activities. Every button I pressed on my phone wasn't just a call for help, it was an alarm to a whole network waiting for her to make the mistake we all knew was coming. See, the biggest error Karen ever made wasn't underestimating the law. It was underestimating just how stubborn and prepared a farmer could be. While she played queen of the HOA, I set up a defense system that'd record everything and send it straight to Maya, the FBI's Agricultural Crimes Task Force, and Martinez's desk. And all the while, Karen kept pushing, convinced she could outmaneuver a man who'd been preparing for this his whole life. The morning she finally snapped, she showed up with her enforcement squad, 2 rent-a-cops in matching black uniforms, her shiny BMW, and for drama's sake, a local councilman who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, plus some poor soul with a video camera. Karen announced she was resolving ongoing violations and gave me one last chance to hand over my tractor. I told her calmly she had no authority, but if she wanted that tractor, she'd have to take it herself. Her mask slipped for just a second, enough for me to see the rage. She stomped over to my shed, climbed into the tractor designer shoes, and all declared it HOA custody and drove it off like she'd won something. I didn't chase. I just pressed a button on my phone. Within seconds, Maya's 500,000 blog followers got a push notification, live footage, GPS data, and expert commentary. The FBI and Sheriff Martinez were notified. The councilman looked nervous. The security guy started realizing they weren't in the script for grand theft farm equipment. Karen thought she was driving away my pride and joy. What she was really doing was delivering herself to the folks who'd been collecting evidence against her for months. 12 minutes. That's how long it took her to drive from my barn to Willowbrook's stone gates. In that time, she made phone calls bragging about putting me in my place, never realizing she was broadcasting straight to federal law enforcement. She turned the corner, saw the sheriff's cars waiting, and in that instant her world collapsed. Martinez's voice on the loudspeaker was pure justice. "Please step away from the vehicle. You're under arrest for theft of federal agricultural equipment." I watched from my driveway, not triumphant, just relieved. Because sometimes justice really is that fast. The neighbors came pouring out, some in shock, others outright cheering. Frank Grayson, neighbor friend, and the first farmer Karen targeted years ago, stood right up front, tears in his eyes, shouting, "Justice for farmers." It felt like a victory for all the folks she'd bullied. Karen's cries about being set up sounded small, especially after Martinez started reading off the charges and explained how the FBI had tracked her campaign across 5 states. The councilman who'd come along for the show, turns out he'd been wearing a wire for months. Karen's look of betrayal was almost pitiful. Almost. Maya and her crew captured every minute, and within hours the story went national. But Karen wasn't done. She posted a teary, carefully lit video online claiming she was the real victim, a single woman trying to help her community persecuted by radical farmers. Millions watched. But the comments turned quick when Maya's team started dropping documents, paper trails, shell companies, threats, and proof. Karen wasn't just a rogue HOA president. She was a cog in a real estate syndicate working 12 states, systematically squeezing farmers off prime land and laundering millions through shell companies and offshore accounts. And the rabbit hole kept going. The feds found out the land wasn't random. These were strategic acres tied to food supply routes and water sources. Karen was just the tip of an international plan to concentrate control of American food production. DHS and Treasury got involved. The evidence led to coordinated raids across 5 states, black SUVs rolling out like a Hollywood script, in Karen's basement war room. Yep, she had one, got turned inside out. Wall monitors, surveillance, bribes, everything. The HOA Queen's empire fell overnight. But the story needed one more twist. At Karen's sentencing, a young woman I'd never seen before took the stand. Emma Blackwood, Karen's hidden daughter. Turns out she'd been the FBI's inside source, the one who unlocked files and handed over recordings, even at the cost of exposing her own family. Her testimony turned the courtroom silent. There's power in watching someone break a generational cycle. When the judge handed down 18 years, no parole, millions in restitution assets, seized criminal ring, dismantled worldwide, the place erupted. Frank bought back his land. Our little farm grew into a cooperative. The tractor Karen tried to steal sits in a museum now with a plaque that reads, "Never underestimate a farmer with a plan." And as I look out over these fields protected by laws that bear our county's name, I can't help but laugh at the irony. Karen wanted to break us, but she made us stronger, smarter, and more connected than ever before. Somewhere in her cell, maybe she's still crying, but these are honest tears paid for with every bully's favorite currency, consequences. So let's hear it. What's your Karen story? Ever been pushed by someone hiding behind fake authority? Drop your tale in the comments and let's show these bullies they can't win if good people stand together. If this story hit home, give it a like. Share your thoughts, and remember, sometimes the best defense is being just as stubborn as your roots.